The Department of Agriculture in the Western Cape has issued a warning to all pig owners to implement strict biosecurity measures to safeguard their livestock against a new outbreak of African swine fever. Now, according to the department, African swine fever has been detected in pigs owned by small farmers residing on the outskirts of Groeneweide Park in George, situated in the Southern Cape. State vet Dr. Leana Janse van Rensburg joins us now with the very latest. Doctor, good afternoon and thank you for your time.
Good afternoon.
No, it's a pleasure to have you with us. I must say, as soon as the reports emerged, many became worried that we might see a shortage of pork on the back of what we saw with the avian flu, with a shortage of eggs. But just for the benefit of those who might not be familiar with African swine fever, take us through it and just the symptoms of it.
So African swine fever, usually the first symptom people report is sudden deaths in pigs. So deaths across all ages, across all conditions. So you wouldn't necessarily see a long sickness, just sudden deaths amongst the pigs. In some cases, you might see some red or blue patches, especially on the underside of the pig or around the ears. You might also see that the pigs look like they're weak in the hind legs, and they might have difficulty breathing. And in some cases, you might even get bleeding from the nose, some bloody diarrhea, blood in the vomit. And those are usually the signs that people see with African swine fever.
We understand that the fever was detected in the Southern Cape. Is this now the epicenter of the outbreak?
No. So this is so far just a small outbreak. One farmer has been affected. Unfortunately, he lost almost all his pigs. In that area, there are various other small farmers, and there's about 250 pigs left in that area. And thus far, we haven't seen spread of the disease from there. But if you look at the whole situation in the country, this is definitely one small outbreak and not the epicenter.
Oh, all right. But then as for anybody who might experience some of those symptoms with their own livestock, what should they do? Because we understand that the MEC had stated that perhaps one needs to quarantine, even if they are dead pigs, do not remove them from your property.
Yes. So like I started saying, there have been outbreaks in all the provinces, excluding the Northern Cape, in the last year. So farmers everywhere should be vigilant for cases of African swine fever. If there is an outbreak, the area or the farm itself is under quarantine. All carcasses need to be disposed of safely. No live pigs or raw pig products can be removed from that quarantine area to prevent the spread of this disease.
It sounds to me from just our conversation that the problem is not as alarming as many might have possibly assumed at this point.
So that is a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, African swine fever is a very serious transboundary animal disease that is of international concern. And because it has such a high mortality rate and we have no treatment options available, there's no effective vaccine to prevent it. The only way to prevent it is through biosecurity measures. And we've seen that it has been mainly affecting small emerging farmers. So in the bigger farming setups, it can definitely cause such a terrible disease, like with the avian influenza in the chicken industry. But at this stage, it's mainly the small emerging farmers and the informal farmers that have been affected.
What could we attribute this to, the fact that it's mostly affecting the smaller farmers? Is there something that they're not doing perhaps or cannot afford to do?
I would say the bigger farms invest a lot more in biosecurity. So making sure that people don't have access to their pigs, that whatever vehicles are coming into contact with their pigs are cleaned and disinfected before they're getting onto there. So I think the the main difference we are seeing is in biosecurity measures that are implemented. Obviously, the smaller you are, the less available cash flow you have to invest in biosecurity, but there are definitely things that you can do to protect your pigs that do not cost as much. Like when you're getting pigs in, making sure that they're coming from a healthy herd. If people are selling pigs for a bargain, there's usually a reason. Rather, make sure where you're getting your pigs from. If you are feeding kitchen waste or swill, and there might be meat products in there, or it might have been in contact with raw meat, it should be cooked, boiled for 15 minutes to make sure that the virus is inactivated. Try and not have free roaming pigs in the area, because they are usually the ones that carry the disease from owner to owner. Rather keep them confined so that they don't roam and get into contact with sources of infection. And obviously, if you have people coming into contact with your pigs, make sure their shoes, their clothing, their hands are cleaned and disinfected before they have contact with your pigs.